Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Clint. I'm one of the personal trainers here at the JCA, and this is my Sit and Get Fit balance class. Only things you need is a sturdy chair for safety's sake if you need to hold the top of the chair rest, preferably a soft mat and something to hold on to that's light. You could even just use your hand, but usually the human eye likes to stare at stuff. So I just have a little ball with filled with air, very light. But the way I like to do my classes is start with a little bit of a dynamic warm-up. Not so much to get the heart rate going, but more to get the muscles a little bit warmed up and less stiffness for what we're about to do. So if you need to hold your chair, you could do so, but what I want you to start with first, feet close together, all the fingertips nice and relaxed and touching. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna raise this leg, that's my left leg up. As I do so, I'm going to raise my right hand up as high as I feel comfortable. Now to make it more difficult, also look up in the air as you do so, or you can keep your eyes straight ahead, which is a little bit easier. But you want to go in a nice, slow and controlled motion. Now the leg that I'm stabilizing on is slightly bent. You don't want to lock out your knees, both for the knee health, and locking out the knees actually makes balance a lot worse or more challenging. But it's not very healthy for the knee joint either to lock out your knees. Nice, slow and controlled motion. This is actually kind of a Qigong exercise here. So I figure we'll use it because it helps with balance. We're doing it as a balance warm-up. Almost there. Alright, so once again, I'll just show you one. If you are holding on to the chair, you could do this kind of thing, so that'll still work. Alright, now for the hips, lower back, and the glutes, this is our center line, the nose, sternum, navel. So we'll start with the left leg. I want you to go across the body, big rotation, circle, down. Now if you have to touch the floor, touch the floor. If you don't have to, keep that leg up, because the leg that's also stabilizing is having to work harder since it's holding 100% of your weight as opposed to just 50 when the other leg's down. Nice big circle, not too fast. It's better to go slower than it is too quickly, because speed, once again, hinders balance. And switch, same thing on the other side. Up, out, across my center line, cross it and back down. Nice big circle or oval, just as high as you feel comfortable. It's also, of course, working the quads and your ab muscles. And one more. All right, good. All right, so on this first exercise, we'll just do those two as a little bit of a warm-up. We're going to do the lateral leg raise, so that's out to the side. Now once again, try not to focus on swinging or getting high. You just go as high as you feel comfortable. If you could go higher than me, then go higher than me. If you can't, that's fine too, because you just go for whatever you're comfortable with. So most of these exercises, the leg that's closest to the chair, that's the one I'm standing on. Once again, knees slightly bent. I'm gonna go out to the side, back to neutral. Once again, try not to touch the floor. That way I get more bang for my buck because my muscles are working harder when I don't touch the floor. So it still helps with balance and I get more endurance out of it. So since you're spending the time doing the exercise, might as well try to get the most out of it. It is more difficult, of course, but unless your doctor doesn't want you to work that hard, then of course listen to your doctor. But if you do have the green light to push a little bit, it's better to work a little harder as opposed to not hard enough. And switch. Now you don't have to switch your chair. I am for the video's sake. Alright, so now standing on my left leg, my right leg is the one that's going to move. Once again, I'm not overcompensating. That's not necessary. Just as far as you feel comfortable without swinging or using momentum. And a couple more. Alright, good. Now we'll go straight to the two different squat varieties. Okay? Now we're going to do two different ways. We'll do one where we just tap the chair with our bottom. Now if the chair is too far, you can't move that much. Just do the best you feel comfortable with. But you want a wider than shoulder width stance. That's going to add stability to your core, to the legs, and let the meaty part, the more strength part of your legs, the back of the legs work. Feet close together, hamstrings still work, but they don't work as much as the quads, and that's why sometimes squats is bad for the knee. People use too close of a stance. Now, of course, if you already have really bad knees, you can skip this part or just bend your knees a little bit, but we're going to raise our center of gravity, chin up, back is straight, but I'm going to bend at the hips. So I'm like this, my back is still straight, I'm just leaning forward. Go down just till I tap the chair with my bottom, exhale as I come up. Breathe in and exhale. If I go straight down, you can see I'm going to miss my chair. So that's why I'm still keeping my posture good. I'm just doing a weight distribution because my legs weigh something. So if I go back this way, I have to keep my chest forward to counter that weight. If I go butt back and the rest of me is up, go down. Well, that could be dangerous whether you're getting off a chair, sofa, the toilet. You definitely don't want to have a fall. And in that case, it's not fall because you lost balance, it's because your weight distribution is off. So in this way, we're going to lean forward, back is still straight, letting these strong legs do the work. Down, tap, and up. So another helpful way of doing it is, or thinking about it, is I'm pressing against the floor, against the ground with my feet. I'm not lifting myself off of a chair as much as I'm pushing against the ground to lift myself up. That body awareness. And rest. Good. All right, shake out those muscles if you need to. Now the next variety of that is we're going to go sit completely until our posture is upright. So my legs are not going to be supporting me. All my weight's going to be under my bottom onto the chair. Then I have to re-engage those muscles, press against the floor to stand. So it looks like this. Okay, I go down, I sit, and I'm not disengaged because I'm not pressing against the floor. Now to re-engage, I come forward, so that way I have a little bit of leverage forward, press against the ground and lift. Down, totally sit. So I'm not rocking, it's all controlled motion. Because that's another potential danger for people, especially if they have balance issues. You want to try to be in control all the time as opposed to gravity, inertia, or your own body taking control and you can't do anything about it. So nice and slow controlled motion, deliberately moving forward, not swinging or using any kind of extra force that's not necessary. Because you don't want to come forward and then, obviously that's quite dangerous, so we don't want to do that. Breathe in and exhale. Two more. Breathe in, exhale, last one. All right, good. Shake out that tension. All right, this next one we're going to use our little object. Once again, if you don't have that handy, you could use your hand. Now, if you need the chair, that's fine too. The way to make this easier if it's too difficult with the feet close together is just feet farther apart, or even stagger with one foot slightly in front of the other. That gives more stability forward and back and laterally. But if you can, feet very close together. I'm gonna start with my right hand. I wanna keep close to my left side of my body, as far down as I feel comfortable, keeping my eyes on the target and up slowly. Because vision plays a big role in balance, so that's why we wanna use this as a target to keep my eyes on. Down and up. Now this is assuming your shoulder's fine. If it's not, just come up to about here. So keep the elbow close to the side. And you can come up here, so you can still focus with your eyes. If your shoulder's fine, just get a little bit more extension. But it's important not to go too quickly on this one because you don't want to make yourself dizzy or lightheaded, because your head, your body, your eyes are going through this range of motion here. Try one more on this side. And switch. Same thing on this side. Once again, this is my left hand. So we're going to do both sides. So if you started with the other side, that's fine. Or if you started with this side, do the other side. Nice, slow and controlled motion. Keeping those eyes on the target. All right, we'll try two more. All right, good. Okay, that wasn't part of the exercise, I just had an itch. So, we get to put our object down. Of course, if you were using your hand, you don't have to put that down. We're gonna use a chair again. Okay, now we already did laterally to the side, now we're gonna do the front. And as always, to make it a little bit more difficult, unless it's a safety thing, don't put the foot down. Okay, so I want you to go up, down but don't touch, up, down but don't touch. And once again, I'm lifting, so that's when I want to exhale, breathe in on the way down. Exhale and breathe in. And as you'll notice before long, those quad muscles and the legs start to get tired. That's why the abs are kicking in to help. Because yeah, legs weigh quite a bit. Even if you have tiny legs, they're still going to weigh something and get heavy. And switch. All right, same thing on the other side. Never want to be lopsided. So we've got two sides, got to do both. Leg up, exhale, breathe in on the way down. Once again, as much as height as you feel comfortable without swinging. And then you always want to control the descent and not let your leg just go flopping down or plunk and hit. One more. And rest. All right, so on this next one, we won't need the chair. However, if you need to use the back of the sofa for this one, you can, because it's a bit longer. But we're going to do heel to toe. So we're going to go there and back. That counts as one, and then we'll step it up in difficulty each time. So on this first one, we're just going to try to keep it simple. Posture's nice and tall, chin's up, eyes on the horizon. And then we're going to do heel to toe. Now just do the best you can. Try not to look down, because once again, this changes my posture, because the definition of good posture at its basic level is, ears above shoulders, shoulders above hips. So as soon as I go like this, my ears aren't above anything. So you gotta stay shoulders back, heads up, heel to toe. Once again, nice, slow and controlled motion. It's not a foot race. And try to avoid doing this if you can. Now if you need to, do so, but try not to. One foot in front of the other. All right, we'll do an about face. Head back where we started. Once again, nice posture. Nice tempo, not too quick. Almost there. All right. Now, the next way to make that a little bit tougher, I'm going to turn my head slowly left, right, and back again while doing this. You still want to try to make sure you have good posture. This time though, as you can tell, my head's not staying put. That's what's going to make it more difficult. It's slowly to the right, then slowly to the left. And I'm repeating that motion. Being mindful not to turn my head too quickly. I don't want to hurt my neck. I don't want you to hurt your neck either. Alright. Now if this one's too tough, stick with the first one. If this is right at that difficulty level where it's challenging but doable, then do this one. Not the easiest thing. Just make those body muscles are making their adjustments. All right, good. All right, so the next one, to take it up a little bit tougher, we're gonna look up and look down as we do this. And as I mentioned before, vision and head position changes how you balance. So obviously, I'm moving my eyes in my head position, so this makes it significantly tougher, especially if you try to talk and do this at the same time. So I'm gonna give it a try. But once again, nice and controlled motion, not going too quick or quickly. Once again, it's not a race. Just take your time. All right, now we're gonna head back to where we came from. So again, just take your time. Heel to toe. Almost there. All right, how's that? Hopefully not too bad. I did better this week because I spoke less. So if you saw me last week, I struggled. Could have been a bad day, but I think it's because I was yapping too much while trying to do it. All right, so we got our chair back again. Now we've done the lateral, we've done the front. Now it's time to do to the back. So posture and everything changes. I am going to lean forward slightly to compensate the weight of the leg, but I don't want to overdo it. So it's not important really how high I get. I just go as high as my range of motion allows me to. So back to neutral, but once again, try not to touch the floor. And that controlled tempo. Once again, I'm the one in control, not my body in control of me. Exhale, breathe in. Exhale and breathe in. A couple more on this side. Good. All right, same thing on this side. All right, so leg back. And two more. All right, good. Okay, on this next one, I'm gonna try with this thing. It's a chair. Now, if you have another chair handy or close by, you could use that as well. Because what I'm gonna do is deliberately touch the chair with my foot, but specifically the ball of my foot, and then gingerly put it back down. So I don't wanna go thud and kerplunk. Okay, because for some of you this will be easy, for others it might be a challenge. Just do what you feel comfortable with, that's safe of course. So once again, my goal is I'm going to stick with the left foot, so my right foot has to be slightly bent. I'm just going to reach up, touch gently with my ball of my foot, okay? Now you could shift your weight slightly to get composure, but then try again, up and down. Once again, you might make a mistake every once in a while, but don't sweat it, especially if you're not used to this one. But you definitely want to do that control, because most things we do in life require hand-eye coordination. This is eye-foot coordination. Now, if your chair's too high, you might try a shoebox or stairs or something that's not quite as high. Or maybe two shoe boxes on top of one another, which won't be as high as this chair either. All right, relax your legs. So it's also, once again, working the legs, working the core, but also helping that eye-foot coordination, which helps with balance. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll change the angle some. So now I'm going to use my right foot. Once again, the same thing, ball of the foot on the edge of the chair, ball of my foot down. Really controlling that range of motion, controlling the tempo, controlling where I'm touching my foot on the chair and back down. Once again, if this is pretty easy for you, that's great. At least that part of your balance is good. But I've seen a lot of people struggle with this one, so I know it takes balance. Because sometimes we take for granted what's easy for us, but that doesn't mean it still doesn't take balance, it just means we're pretty good at it. And we'll try 2 more. Up, down, up, and down. Good. All right. So on this next one, we'll still use the chair, but I'll be behind the chair. We're going to extend our leg in 3 different directions. So it's not a kick, although it might look like a kick. This is what I'm going to call neutral. Okay, just knee up, leg bent, other leg once again closest to the chair. That's the one I'm standing up. So we're going to start going front, side, and back. But each time I'm going to bring it to this position here, the neutral position. So to compensate the weight on my leg, so my back, that part of the core, doesn't have to work as much, I'm going to lean in the opposite direction that my leg is going. So once again, I don't need to lean because I'm in neutral position. I'm going to lean back slightly as I extend, correct my posture. Out to the side, correct my posture. Now as I go back, I'll lean forward, but as I bring this back up to neutral, I don't need to stay forward again. I come up. That way my back works as much as it has to, but not overly doing it and not more than it needs to. Front, neutral, side, neutral, and back, and neutral. Now if you're trying this on your own sometime and you get confused which one's first, that doesn't really matter. In fact, it doesn't matter at all what order you go into. Just try to go in all 3 directions. So if you want to start on the side first or the back first, that's fine. Just try to go in all 3 directions. Because my leg, because it weighs something, changes my center of gravity. So all my other muscles in my body, or at least the majority of them, have to try to accommodate by flexing and relaxing to maintain stability. So I don't lose my balance and potentially fall. And back up to neutral. Good. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. All right. Once again, the leg up to neutral, front, side, and of course to the back. And then posture's good, chin's up. Now always try to keep your eyes up if you can. I mean, obviously if you have cats and dogs, you don't want to accidentally kick them in the head right now while doing this, but that's another reason why we're going slow. Besides, the animals will catch on. They'll try not to walk in the way of your foot once they get popped a couple times. Front, side, and back. And one more. Front, side, and back. Good. All right. Now this one here is an agility drill, but agility drills also help with balance. However, this isn't one that's high intensity. We're going to use our lightweight object again. So this one's kind of hard to do with just your fist since you can't take off your hand, or at least most of us can't. So if you can, you could use your hand, I suppose. All right, so we want a wider than normal width stance. So what I'm going to do, imagine a figure 8. So I'm starting with the front. I'm going to go front to the back of my body. And as I go in that direction, notice I bend this knee. Now back to front to back again to this side. Now, I typically want to keep my head up. Since I could hold the ball pretty easily, I don't need my eyes to watch me transfer from hand to hand. So I'm going across, going across. So I'm not going quickly, but I'm coming, once again, from the front to the back as I transfer, front to back to transfer. We'll just try a couple more. All right, how'd that feel? Hopefully you gave it a shot. Now we're going to do the transfer when we come behind to the front and do the transfer. So it's just a reverse crazy 8, okay? So I go back behind my body, transfer to the front, my hand goes around. Once again, this is the back of my body, of course, I'm transferring to the front and just reversing that range of motion. So if you can or can't do this wide of a stance, just make an adjustment. It can be much closer and do it, or wider if you can. So how wide you go will matter as far as agility goes, but either way will still improve balance by doing this coordination drill. All right, so hopefully that was good. All right. So you could use a soup can or whatever you have handy that's light, that's easy to grip and transfer from hand to hand. All right, so now on this one, we're gonna do a full 180 with our leg up in the air. I call it a tabletop. As I always say, you don't really want to put your feet on the furniture, but it's an imaginary table here. So once again, I'm going to have to use this because this one's a tough one for me. At least it's tough to not hold on. So my leg's up, stays on this tabletop, so I don't want my foot to drop. Full 180. Now in this one, I am leaning in a much farther angle to compensate the weight of the leg. And that's because I'm trying not to let my leg drop throughout this whole range of motion. There's no neutral that I'm returning to. So my core is working the entire time. And of course, as the leg starts to feel heavy, it becomes more and more challenging to resist letting that foot drop. Almost there, and down. Good. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, get those muscles the oxygen they need. Don't forget to breathe. All right, so leg up on our imaginary tabletop. Once again, try to go in the full range of motion if you can. Modify if necessary, but make it a challenge for you. Nice, slow and controlled motion. And don't forget to breathe. All right, got one more. Back and now to the front and leg down. Good. All right. So now we'll try another exercise. We'll use our mat on this one. So, if you don't have a mat, you could use a carpeted floor or a pillow underneath your knee, because the mat's there to make my knee feel better, because otherwise, hard floor, very uncomfortable. So, I'm going to be on the hands and knees. Now, I'm going to lift up my right hand, that's the one that's closest to you. So as I raise this one up, I'm going to raise my left leg, the opposite leg up. Now, as I bring it back down towards the floor, to make it a little bit more challenging for balance sake, I'm not going to touch the floor with my hand or my foot, or at least that's the goal. Okay, so I'm on my hands and knees, raise the arm and opposite foot. As I come down, don't touch, keep the core tight, make sure you have your composure, and up. Now, of course, if you start to lose composure, just put your hand and foot down and knee down, regain yourself, and then try again. Exhale as you lift, breathe in on the way down. Same as all the other exercises, it's not a speed thing, so we're not trying to go quickly. And switch. All right, so I'm going to switch to this side. So once again, now I'm using my left hand and my opposite leg. Exhale, breathe in, try not to touch, and repeat that motion. couple more. And down. Good. All right. All right, how do you feel? Hopefully you feel good. I feel good. Everything's good. All right. So if you see me at the JCA and you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to help you out and answer those questions. And once again, you have access to the video. You can play the parts that you like. The ones that you don't like, still try them unless they are unsafe for you or cause any problems. But once again, you could ask me for my advice and I'll be happy to help you. Hope you enjoy the class. See you again next time and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great day.